At last, he began to be bitterly and ominously haunted by the blood of his murdered victim, by the young life he had destroyed, by the blood that cried out for vengeance. He had begun to have awful dreams, but, being a man of fortitude, he bore his suffering a long time, thinking, I shall expiate everything by this secret agony. But that hope too was vain. The longer it went on, the more intense was his suffering. He was respected in society for his active benevolence, though everyone was overawed by his stern and gloomy character. But the more he was respected, the more intolerable it was for him. He confessed to me that he had thoughts of killing himself, but he began to be haunted by another idea, an idea which he had at first regarded as impossible and unthinkable, though at last it got such a hold on his heart that he could not shake it off. He dreamed of rising up, going out and confessing in the face of all men that he had committed murder. For 3 years, this dream had pursued him, haunting him in different forms. At last, he believed with his whole heart that if he confessed his crime, he would heal his soul and would be at peace forever. But this belief filled his heart with terror, for how could he carry it out? And then came what happened at my duel. Looking at you, I have made up my mind. I looked at him. Is it possible, I cried, clasping my hands, that such a trivial incident could give rise to such a resolution in you? My resolution has been growing for the last 3 years, he answered, and your story only gave the last touch to it. Looking at you, I reapproached myself and I envied you. He said this to me almost sullenly. But you won't be believed, I observed. It's 14 years ago. I have proofs, great proofs. I shall show them. Then I cried and kissed him. Tell me one thing, he said, as though it all depended upon me. My wife, my children. My wife may die of grief, and though my children won't lose their rank and poverty, they'll be a convict's children, and forever. And what a memory of me I shall live in their hearts. I said nothing. And to part from them, to leave them forever. It's forever. You know, forever. I sat still and repeated a silent prayer. I got up at last. I felt afraid. Well, he looked at me. Go, said I. Confess. Everything passes. Only the truth remains. Your children will understand, when they grow up, the nobility of your resolution. Your children will understand, when they grow up, the nobility of your resolution. He left me that time as though he had made up his mind. Yet, for more than a fortnight afterwards, he came to me every evening, still preparing himself, still unable to bring himself to the point. He made my heart ache. One day, he would come determined and say fervently, I know it will be heaven for me. Heaven, the moment I confess. 14 years, I've been in hell. I want to suffer. I will take my punishment and begin to live. You can pass through the world doing wrong, but there's no turning back. Now I dare not love my neighbor, nor even my own children. Good God, my children will understand, perhaps, what my punishment has cost me and will not condemn me. God is not in strength, but in truth. All will understand your sacrifice, I said to him. If not at once, they will understand later, for you have served truth, the higher truth, not of the earth. And he would go away, seeming comforted, but next day he would come again, bitter, pale, sarcastic. Every time I come to you, you look at me so inquisitively as though to say, he has still not confessed. Wait a bit, don't despise me too much. It's not such an easy thing to do, as you would think. Perhaps I shall not do it at all. You won't go, and inform against me then, will you?" And far from looking at him with indiscreet curiosity, I was afraid to look at him at all. I was quite ill from anxiety, and my heart was full of tears. I could not sleep at night. "I have just come from my wife," he went on. "Do you understand what the word wife means?" When I went out, the children called me. "Goodbye, father. Make haste back to read the children's magazine with us." "No, you don't understand. No one is wise from another man's woe." His eyes were glittering. His lips were twitching. Suddenly, he struck the table with his fist, so that everything of it danced. It was the first time he had done such a thing. He was such a mild man. "But need I?" he exclaimed. "Must I? No one has been condemned. No one has been sent to Siberia in my place. The man died of fever, and I've been punished by my sufferings for the blood I shed. And I shan't be believed. They won't believe my proofs. Need I confess? Need I? I am ready to go on suffering all my life for the blood I have shed. If only my wife and children may be spared. Will it be just to ruin them with me? Aren't we making a mistake? What is right in this case? And will people recognize it? Will they appreciate it? Will they respect it? Good Lord, I thought to myself. He is thinking of other people's respect at such a moment, and I felt so sorry for him then, that I believe I would have shared his fate, if it could have comforted him. I saw he was beside himself. He was aghast, realizing with my heart as well as my mind what such a resolution meant. Decide my fate, he exclaimed again. Go and confess, I whispered to him. My voice failed me, but I whispered it firmly. I took up the New Testament from the table, the Russian translation, and showed him the Gospel of St. John, chapter number 12, verse 24. Verily, verily I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall unto the ground and die, it abideth alone, but if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. I had just been reading the verse when he came in. He read it. That's true, he said, but he smiled bitterly. It's terrible the things you find in those books, he said after a pause. It's easy enough to thrust them upon one. And who wrote them? Can they have been written by men? The Holy Spirit wrote them, said I. It's easy for you to prate. He smiled again, this time almost with hatred. I took the book again, opened it in another place, and showed him the epistle to the Hebrews, chapter number 10, verse 31. He read, It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. He read it and simply flung down the book. He was trembling all over. An awful text, he said. There's no denying you've picked out fitting ones. He rose from the chair. Well, he said, goodbye. Perhaps I shan't come again. We shall meet in heaven. So I have been for 14 years in the hands of the living God. That's how one must think of these 14 years. Tomorrow I will beseech those hands to let me go. I wanted to take him in my arms and kiss him, but I did not dare. His face was contorted and somber. He went away. Good God, I thought. What has he gone to face? I fell on my knees before the icon and wept for him before the Holy Mother of God. One swift defender and helper. I was half an hour praying in tears, and it was late, about midnight. Suddenly, I saw the door open and he came in again. I was surprised. Where have you been? I asked him. I think, he said, I've forgotten something. My handkerchief, I think. Well, even if I've not forgotten anything, let me stay a little. He sat down. I stood over him. You sit down too, said he. I sat down. We sat still for 2 minutes. He looked intently at me and suddenly smiled. I remember that he got up and embraced me warmly and kissed me. Remember, he said, how I came to you a second time? Do you remember it? Do you hear? Remember it!" And he went out. Tomorrow, I thought. And so it was. I did not know that evening that the next day was his birthday. I had not been out for the last few days, so I had no chance of hearing it from anyone. Everyone in the town went to it. It was the same this time. After dinner, he walked into the middle of the room with a paper in his hand, a formal declaration to the chief of his department who was present. This declaration he read aloud to the whole assembly. It contained a full account of the crime, in every detail. I cut myself off from men as a monster. "God has visited me," he said in conclusion. "I want to suffer for my sin." Then he brought out and laid on the table all the things he had been keeping for 14 years that he thought would prove his crime. The jewels belonging to the murdered woman, which he had stolen to divert suspicion. A cross and a locket taken from her neck, with a portrait of her betrothed in the locket. Her notebook and 2 letters. One from her betrothed, telling her that he would soon be with her, and her unfinished answer left on the table to be sent off next day. He carried off these 2 letters. What for? Why had he kept them for 14 years afterwards instead of destroying them as evidence against him? And this is what happened. Everyone was amazed and horrified. Everyone refused to believe it and thought that he was deranged, though all listened with intense curiosity. A few days later, it was fully decided and agreed in every house that the unhappy man was mad. The legal authorities could not refuse to take the case up, but they too dropped it. Though the trinkets and letters made them ponder, they decided that even if they did turn out to be authentic, no charge could be based on those alone. Besides, she might have given him those things as a friend, or asked him to take care of them for her. I heard afterwards, however, that the genuineness of the things was proved by the friends and relations of the murdered woman, and that there was no doubt about them. Yet, nothing was destined to come of it, after all. 5 days later, all had heard that he was ill and that his life was in danger. The nature of his illness I can't explain. They said it was an affection of the heart, but it became known that the doctors had been induced by his wife to investigate his mental condition also, and had come to the conclusion that it was a case of insanity. I betrayed nothing, though people ran to question me, but when I wanted to visit him, I was for a long while forbidden to do so, above all by his wife. "It's you who have caused this illness. It's you who have caused this illness," she said to me. He was always gloomy. For the last year, people noticed that he was peculiarly excited and did strange things. "And now you have been the ruin of him. Your preaching has brought him to this. For the last month, he was always with you." Indeed, not only his wife, but the whole town were down upon me and blamed me. "It's all your doing," they said. I was silent and indeed rejoiced at heart, for I saw plainly God's mercy to the man who had turned against himself and punished himself. I could not believe in his insanity. They let me see him at last. He insisted upon saying goodbye to me. I went into him and saw at once that not only his days, but his hours were numbered. He was weak, yellow. His hands trembled. He gasped for breath, but his face was full of tender and happy feeling. "It is done," he said. "I've long been yearning to see you. Why didn't you come?" I did not tell him that they would not let me see him. God has pity on me and is calling me to himself. I know I am dying, but I feel joy and peace for the first time after so many years. There was heaven in my heart from the moment I had done what I had to do. Now I dare to love my children and to kiss them. Neither my wife nor the judges nor anyone has believed it. My children will never believe it either. I see in that God's mercy to them. I shall die, and my name will be without a stain for them. And now I feel God near. My heart rejoices as in heaven. I have done my duty. He could not speak. He gasped for breath. He pressed my hand warmly, looking fervently at me. We did not talk for long. His wife kept peeping in at us, but he had time to whisper to me, "Do you remember how I came back to you that second time at midnight? I told you to remember it. You know what I came back for? I came to kill you." I started. I went out from you, then into the darkness. I wandered about the streets, struggling with myself. And suddenly I hated you that so I could hardly bear it. Now I thought, he's all that binds me, and he is my judge. I can't refuse to face my punishment tomorrow, for he knows all. It was not that I was afraid you would betray me. I never even thought of that, but I thought, how can I look him in the face if I don't confess? And if you had been at the other end of the earth, but alive, it would have been all the same. The thought was unendurable, that you were alive knowing everything and condemning me. I hated you as though you were the cause, as though you were to blame for everything. I came back to you then, remembering that you had a dagger lying on your table. I sat down and asked you to sit down, and for a whole minute I pondered. If I had killed you, I should have been ruined by the murder, even if I had not confessed the other. But I didn't think about that at all, and I didn't want to think of it at that moment. I only hated you and longed to revenge myself on you for everything. The Lord vanquished the devil in my heart, but let me tell you, you were never nearer death. A week later he died. The whole town followed him to the grave. The chief priest made a speech full of feeling. All lamented the terrible illness that had cut short his days, but all the town was in arms against me after the funeral, and people even refused to see me. Some, at first a few and afterwards more, began indeed to believe the truth of his story, and they visited me and questioned me with great interest and eagerness, for man loves to see the downfall and disgrace of the righteous. But I held my tongue, and very shortly after, I left the town, and 5 months later, by God's grace, I entered upon the safe and blessed path, praising the unseen finger, which had guided me so clearly to it. But I remember in my prayer to this day the servant of God, Michael, who suffered so greatly. End of chapter.
falar da edição, lembra, Zé? A portuguesa. Oh, nossa, assim você não mata. Meti uma vergonha. That's a crab. Yeah, that's a crab. Oh, não tá preto ainda.